Hello, and welcome to another battle report from Santa Barbara Wargaming. I'm Paul, and today I'm playing a 35-point game against Jim. He was playing Legion, and I'm playing Menoth. We played a 2013 beta test of the supply and demand scenario. It simply has two objectives and a single 12-inch diameter control area in the center. And to control the center, uh, you simply have to control the center to get a single point. If you dominate the center scenario, you can get 2 points, but you cannot dominate the center scenario if your Warcaster has the enemy objective in its control area. So it's an interesting caveat that they're introduced in 2013 in one of the beta documents that we did. So this might not be the final draft, but it was an interesting try at the beta test rules. And so again, a very large caveat that it is a beta test. So here we go. So he played the 35-point eval tier list. He has two Angeliuses, Angeli, a Seraph, the Blackfrost Shard, the Spawning Vessel, a Shredder, and it looks like a min unit of, I think they only come in one size. They may come in, well, I believe it's a min unit and Baal of Hex Hunters. So this was his deployment. For my 35-point list, I brought in Kreoss Crusaders of Soul, Tier 4. It consists of 2 units, two units of Knights Exemplar, a full unit of Knights Errants and the unit attachment, a full unit of Bastions, a free Knights Exemplar Seneschal, and the Fire of Salvation. So this is Kreoss's 2 tier list. You can see that I get a 12-inch deployment zone. So you can see the models in the back there deployed at 12 inches, and the Errants are deployed 18 inches up from the edge, and the Knights Exemplars get a advanced move, putting them 2 inches behind the front of the Errants. So you can see the little glass cylinder, or the flat glass cylinder in the middle of the table is actually the center of the supply and demand control area. So I'm exactly 5 inches away from, well, it would be 24 and I'm 18. So it's 6 inches from the center line at deployment. So you can see that Kreoss's tier list is quite quick right off the bat. So I think that does help a little bit, keeping kind of pushing the center line back and preventing the eval tier list from getting a large advantage from its speed and mobility. So if I can kind of jam things forward, that gives me a better chance of against eval's tier list. Thought it was a pretty good, pretty well-rounded list. I'm unhappy with the Bastions. They're the only extra models that I have available to me for the tier that are infantry. I feel like they're too slow, and although they do some hitting powers, it's a wasted 8 points. They could possibly be good late game, but with their medium bases, they do end up, they can't really penetrate through all the small bases that are in front of it, so they end up kind of getting wasted. I always like Fire Salvation in the list. Holy Vengeance is very easy to get off. He's your big beater, so oftentimes it can be kind of hit or miss if he's able to really connect with the target. The Seneschal is an amazing 3 points, especially in scenario play. So good model, hits really hard. And Kreoss, this is Kreoss 2. He's on a small base, although he fills it up very largely. He has some really interesting spells. He also hits really hard. He can play a little bit more up front. And I've been giving him a try. And the tier list is a lot of fun. You get a lot of small base Weapon Master models on the table, and I think it's just a great time to play. So let's begin the game. So he advanced pretty standard. Although the flying war beasts, they do get +2 speed at the beginning of or at the beginning of the game if for their first turn, but as you can see, they would be essentially speed 9, so they could potentially get with a 7-inch deployment zone, they can get pretty far up the table. But he chose not to, being 18 inches up from the board's edge really prevents him to to really capture a lot of the board edge without giving himself up to some charges. I guess you could position it more efficiently if you really wanted to make the mathematical effort, but I think he was just playing things a little bit more reserve. He put the Black Frost or the Hex Hunters up at the front there, kept the Black Frost Shard a little bit more in the back. He activated Evail. He put Refuge on the red Angelius, and I believe Ammunition on the silver one. It didn't come into play, but I believe. He then did some slipstreaming with the Seraph to be able to get the Seraph up there, and the pot just kind of advanced. So that was his first deployment, or first turn. Here is my first turn. I advanced up the Errants for the beginning of my turn, and I just wanted to show that I needed to roll some hard 8s and also be within 5 inches of the Black Frost Shard. I was able to do that with 3 of the Errants. I also used Visgoth's anti-stealth. I activated them first, and I gave the anti-stealth to the officer. The officer was then able to fire, and he only needed 6s to hit. No, he needs 7s to hit, and I believe he killed one of them. So out of all the shooting, I was able to kill 3 of the Hex Hunters. Beyond that, I had everybody advance behind them. You can see Visgoth, they gave the anti-stealth to the errant officer. I had the the Knight's Exemplar advance up. I wanted to make sure I had as much in threat range as possible, knowing that the Angeliuses are going to attack. With the Knight's Exemplar, or the Knight's Errant's self-sacrifice, I can keep a lot of the front ones alive. And I wanted to make sure that if I were probably going to pop my feet turn 2 with such quick engagement, I wanted to make sure I got everything up there as much as possible without crowding too much. So I didn't want to get spammed by obliterations and lose a lot of my models to maybe an early feed on his part, definitely taking out a lot of my infantry spam. So I did spread out a little bit. I didn't even think about it too much in the game, but I wanted to make sure that I didn't have all my eggs in the baskets in case some angles were to arise that I was able to charge. The Knight's Errant's like possible 8.5-inch threat range in this list is a little short. You really do have to play them quite aggressively and kind of use your numbers in to the advantage and just kind of push everything forward. As you can see, there's the center line, and so on the end of my turn 1, I surpassed the center line, and that's doesn't happen often with most armies. With the Fire Salvation, I was able to get the Fire Salvation up there. Fire Salvation, you definitely have to play quite aggressively because oftentimes on turn 2, you're going to want to get them engaged. With Holy Vengeance, often it's going to be triggered. You really need to make sure that you expect him to move during your maintenance phase so you don't crowd him up. You can see there's some Knights Errants in front of him. There's not too much room for him to advance for my turn 2, and so potentially he could that Holy Vengeance could be wasted and ruin his threat range, his possible threat range. I had Kreoss advance with Bastions in the back. Again, they're slow and they don't get advanced move, so there's another reason why maybe the Bastions could be supplemented out of the list for a better option, and maybe even a third unit of Knight's Exemplar, saving me 3 points that I could then maybe bring a Seneschal, have 2 Seneschals, and another unit of Knight's Exemplar would really round out the army, give me 3 units. I cast Inviolable Resolve on the Errants. Evail has availability of Purification, and it would probably be good to force her to spend the 3 Fury to cast it, but I didn't think that Sacrosanct was very useful. Castigate is not effective in this matchup, and the other spells didn't come into play. So I thought Invulnerable Resolve would be the most useful. Bringing the errants up to armor 18 is quite nice. So makes them uh, more resilient to some of the small arms fire, such as the Seraph Strafe or the Hex Hunters. So that was my turn one. Again, I'm really up the field. Very quick army, gets across the board pretty quick. So Jim's turn two. First thing right off the bat, he advanced his Hex Hunters up the front and he charged them in. He has 4 left. He whiffed on all his rolls, pretty much. He whiffed on 3 of the initial Hex Hunters, and then Baal got 2 attacks, and to prevent his Battle Wizard, I self-sacked twice, keeping him from... he has a spray that he has available to him for a Battle Wizard, and so I didn't want that to become effective. You can't target the Knights Errants with Battle Wizard, but he could choose something in his line of sight and then use that to his advantage to capture a lot of things under that spray. So it was well worth killing the Errants with self-sack. So yeah, that was what happened with that. And then as Jim progressed his turn, you can see there's some holes available in my front lines. He had, I think he began with the Angelius. He had one of them, the red one, charged in on my, what did he charge? I believe the red one, he charged in to the left, killed 2 Knights Exemplar, and then overtook, and I think he killed 4 of them, and then repulsed. So he charged in and then bought 2 attacks, I believe, or maybe 1 attack, and then he repulsed for 2, and then he refuged back. He then advanced Evail. She hot swapped refuge. The silver one charged my Seneschal, killing it, and then killed, I think, a few other models, and then I think he also... No, he did not repulse. You can see Evail, before the Angelius activated, I managed to get Icy Grip onto my Knights Exemplar, the unpainted metal unit, instead of the plastic one on the left. What did the Shredder, Winch Rabbit advanced 8 inches and attacked and killed a errant, I believe. Between a Knight's Exemplar or an errant, he was able to take out a few of those. The Black Frost Shard advanced and popped stealth. The Seraph killed 1 errant with the strafe attack. He got 2 attacks on 1 errant, and then another 2 attacks he chose on the model engaging Baal. This gave my Seneschal a wound, or healed for 1, which allowed me to keep the Seneschal around, which was quite nice. It's always good when the Seneschal stays alive. Beyond that, that was kind of his turn. So for my turn 2, I knew it was the perfect opportunity to pop my feet. He was engaging me. I had the opportunity to maybe get in threat range of 2 of the Angelius, but I am definitely very hindered by my 8.5-inch threat range. So it's definitely a weakness of the army. I had the errants. I advanced Kreoss. I popped my feet. I wanted to possibly take out the 2 Hex Hunters that were grouped together. There was 2 of them next to each other, and I wanted to see if I could take them out. So I did the Cleansing Fire. It's an AoE 3, POW 14. It's 3 cost. I boosted hit because I wanted to make sure I hit. This wasn't really necessary. I think it might have been a little too much, but I thought I might have been able to get a little bit more work out of the warrior errants or the exemplars, possibly cleaning up the front line, leaving a few more to charge on those Angelius with the auto-hitting 2 attacks from the feet. So I killed one with the initial, or the straight-off attack, and then the blast damage didn't kill the other Hex Hunter. I rolled really poorly. It was POW 7, so he is armor, I think, 12. I think I needed a 5. I rolled poorly. I think I rolled a 4. So I wasn't that kind of wasted 4 focus, and I carried on. I had the errants wheel around the front Hex Hunters, and with the 2 attacks, I was able to kill all of those. That opened up gaps in the front lines to have the Exemplar, the Knights Exemplar full unit charge. They had Icy Grip on them, but we had looked up the rules, and although it says you cannot run, it does not say you cannot charge. And so we didn't find a rule that says you can't charge if you can't run, and so I proceeded to charge. I was able to get 1 knight on each Angelius. I took out the spirit of 1 Angelius that is now the red one, although it was the silver one. We replaced the red one died, and so we replaced the silver one with the red one. I got 1 attack on, 2 attacks on each of them. I did some decent rolls, but nothing that would have outright killed them. 1 attack is not enough. I really need to get more on there. And then I had part of the unit also kill the Shredder. That was pretty straightforward. And then I had loaded up the Fire Salvation with 3 because I had assumed that I really needed to take out the Angeliuses. And with Holy Vengeance, because of how he repulsed me, my Vengeance move was actually very useful. I was able to really advance forward, and I might have had 8.5 inches to even the farthest Angelius. It would have been really close. But if I was able to take out the front Angelius with some attacks from Knights, I might have been able to get Fire Salvation on the other Angelius, potentially taking out both of his Angeliuses in a turn, pretty much crippling his army. But I wasn't able to do that. The front Angelius had 4 points of health, and I had loaded up Fire of Salvation with 3 focus. Maybe an overkill. Oftentimes it is, because you do get that additional attack, and you're auto-hitting, so you don't need to pay to boost. So you simply just roll to do damage. So I was like, okay, well, I will slam the front Angelius into the back Angelius. And they were just under 2 inches away from each other, so all I have to do is roll anything but a 1 on the slam distance, because I auto-hit under the feet. So I rolled the slam distance, and I got a 5, I think. So I slammed 1 Angelius into the other. Because of how, because 1 Angelius clipped the other, I get 4 dice if I choose to boost. So I needed to roll with my strength 11 against his armor 17. On 4 dice, I needed to roll a 10. And I succeeded, killing 1 Angelius, and then I did a few points of damage to the other one. It wasn't going to happen. But I knew that since I had all this focus, I would probably kill the first Angelius with the initial attack, leaving me with 3 focus. It just didn't seem like a good resource allotment. So I thought the slam would at least provide a little bit more damage and some use for the focus. Let's see. I had left Kreoss pretty much out there with no focus, and so I thought Evail's got a very potent assassination run with triple a blitz, or even possible double boosted a blitz with her feet, and so I wanted to get the Bastions into their screen. Maybe getting them a little bit more wrapped around Kreoss would have been a lot better, because the Seraph was available to just kind of run over, become the Arc Node, and possibly take out Kreoss. He's not camping anything. So that was pretty much my turn 2. I was decently happy with the outcome. I thought I did a decent job. It's very difficult with the list. The exemplars are very much melee oriented. They only have an 8.5 inch threat range, and with the kind of the punch and go of the Angeliuses, then I get very much out-threaded. So I just kind of have to jam and hope for the best. As well as Killbox in this scenario does help. I did not kill the Angelius, and so not scoring a single point. But I'm getting awfully close to controlling the zone. So, as you can see, this is just a close-up of what happened over here. I was able to get 2 knights, and you can see the plastic Knights Exemplar failed his charge. It would have been very nice to get rid of those 4 points, possibly opening up the Fire of Salvation with the charge on the back Angelius. But again, as I had said earlier, it just didn't happen. So, just play on. So, this is turn 3 of Jim, and as I kind of hinted at in the turn before, he was possibly going to go for the assassination run. We talked about it a decent amount, kind of going over his options and what he would need to do. It seemed a pretty straightforward effort. He was dice -1 on obliterations. He needed 6 to hit, unless he was able to stick the icy grip, in which he would need 4s to hit. He had the possibility of 3 obliterations. They're each cost 4, and he gets 1 for free under his feet. He would be dice -1, and Kreoss has 18 wounds. That puts me, he has to roll 21 pips on, looks like 6 dice to be able to kill Kreoss. So we thought about it, and it does leave a nice out. She can pop her feet, arc, icy grip through the Seraph, which he charged up after having the Black Frost Shard take out some of the errants over there, allowing him to land. So the Seraph ran up and then had Veil advance, attack the Seraph, hit, was able to stick the icy grip onto Kreoss, rolled the oblit, very poor on damage. I think he rolled, with unboostable, he rolled like a 6, and so I took 5 points of damage. This was questionable, but he decided to go for a second oblit. Possibly, if he get a good spike on the other way, it might have left him open for the third obliteration to finish off Kreoss. He did the second oblit, and he left me with, I think, 8 health. So he decided he would need a hard 9 to finish the game, and we talked about it pretty decently, and he went a different route. He chose not to do an obliteration. He had evail, refuge away, because she had refuge on herself from the feet. Refuged away, healed one box from the spirit on the Angelius because it was out. Then cast refuge on the Seraph, leaving her with 1 fury. Then activated the Angelius. He was able to overtake. He killed a model, healing Kreoss 1, which was nice for me, and healing the Seneschal for 1 as well. He then chose to overtake. He bought an attack, and then overtook again and bought another attack, refuged over, repulsed, leaving a gap, moving the bastions out of line of sight, or removing the bastion kind of wall for line of sight purposes, and this left Kreoss, after killing 3 of them, Kreoss had 10 wounds left. He then activated the pot, advanced and popped out a shredder, or a stinger. He advanced the stinger over, boosted to hit. He didn't need very much. And then he boosted damage with poison, and you can see the roll there. He rolled really well. I think he only needed 14. He was POW 12, dice -4, and so he needed to do 10 wounds, so he needed to roll a 14, and he did that whole-handedly. He's got some good rolls there. So that ended the game, and so it was a good toss-up between making that third oblit and rolling a hard 9 on 2 dice, or actually going and taking things a little differently with the repulsion from Angelius and then popping out a stinger. So definitely giving him a lot of credit for that. I did not even think about that sort of play to then open up and take out Kreoss. But it was definitely a great War Machine moment, or Hordes moment, you would say, for Evail. Definitely a great matchup. Pretty interesting. A kind of a more quick list with the Angelius versus a infantry spammy list. A lot of decent play on both sides, but I really enjoyed it. Again, I pretty much I like where Kreoss's tier list. It's very much sort of one dimensional, At the same time, it has a lot of things to overcome, which can be kind of fun to play with. His spell list is a little weak when it comes to playing hordes. I could see Castigate with disabling arc nodes can be pretty useful against, say, Crix or something like that, as well as some of the spell and continuous effects immunity that he provides. So there's a lot kind of underneath, but overall, kind of the overall first impressions is that it is a little one dimensional, and I've heard a little bit of that criticism. You are kind of limited to a single mass unit, but it's fun to play. It looks very thematic on the field. It's mighty quick, and so it might actually be a very useful tier list within Steamroller 2013. Well, I thanks for watching, and I hope to get up another videos playing Menoth and Kreoss. So look forward to that.